Let's look at the example of finding the consumer and producer surplus. Now the demand function for a product is P equals to 100 minus 0.05 Q, where P is the price per unit for Q units. Now the supply function is given by P equals to 10 plus 0.1 Q. Now we're supposed to determine the consumer surplus and producer surplus under market equilibrium. So for this one, the first thing we got to do is to find where is the equilibrium point. Now remember, the equilibrium point is where the supply equals to demand. So what we do is we set our demand and supply equations equal to each other and then solve that equation. So we have 100 minus 0.05 Q equals to 10 plus 0.1 Q. Solving for Q, let's see, if I subtract 10 from both sides, I get 90 equals, add 0.05 Q to both sides, you get 0.15 Q. Divide both sides by 0.15, you get Q equals to 600. So that is the quantity for equilibrium. And to find what is the price, well, plug it into either one of the equations because it'll give you the same value. And so plugging it in, you end up getting, let's say, plug it into the supply function. That's 10 plus 0.1 times 600. So that'll equal to 70. So the equilibrium price is 70 for the quantity of Q equals to 600. Now we next have to determine the consumer's and producer's surplus. Now remember, the formula to determine the consumer surplus is that the consumer surplus equals to the integral from 0 to x bar of d of x dx, where d of x is the demand function, minus p bar times x bar, where again p bar, that's the unit price, and x bar is the quantity sold. So for this specific example, our consumer surplus is the integral from 0, well, x bar, which again is the quantity sold. Well, we're doing it for under market equilibrium, and we saw that the quantity in that case would be 600 of d of x. Again, that's our demand function, which in this case is the 100 minus 0.05 Q, in this case, so dq, minus P bar, our unit price. Well, we found that to be, let's see, what was that one? That was 70 times, again, X bar, which was 600. So integrating this, let's see, the integral of 100, that would be 100Q. And then minus 0.05 over 2 Q squared, evaluating that from 0 to 600, minus, let's see, that'd be 42,000. So this gives us, let's see, that would be 60,000 minus 9,000 minus 42,000, and that gives us 9,000. So at market equilibrium, the consumer surplus in this case would be $9,000. Okay, now let's look at determining the producer surplus. Now for the producer surplus, that's given by the formula that the producer surplus equals to P bar times X bar, where again that's the unit price times the number of units, minus the integral from 0 to X bar of, in this case, S of X, so the supply function dx. So for this specific example, see again, our P bar, our unit price was 70 and our quantity was 600, minus the integral from 0 to 600 of our supply function, which in this case was 10 plus 0.1 q dq. So let's see, that would again be 42,000 minus, let's see, integrating this, that would be 10q plus 0.1 divided by 2 q squared, evaluating that from 0 to 600. So that would be 42,000 minus, if you plug that into your calculator, you get 24,000. So for this one, our producer surplus would be $18,000. Now again, this is an example where we are finding the consumers and producer surplus under market equilibrium. So we first had to figure out what was the equilibrium price and quantity. For some other problems, they may give you those values, so you would not have to go through the first step.